This is TWiT.
My goodness, my Guinness. There was a lot of hardware for this being a developer conference.
Totally.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing because obviously, A, people want to know what's coming down the pipeline. B, developers need to know what's coming down the pipeline, right, to develop to that. So we know that there's a lot of new Pixel hardware coming. Yes, we do. The first is the Pixel 6a. That's the mid-range smartphone that we've been waiting for. But guess what? We have to wait a little bit longer.
Oh, man.
Pre-orders for that are not starting until July 21st. Again, we're still in May, so there's a little bit of time to wait. And then it won't be on sale until July 28th, and that will be $450 for this phone. Already,
so we got to wait like 2 months?
Yeah. Is it 2 months? Thank you for doing the math. Yeah,
it's a little more than 2 months.
Yeah, it's about 2 months.
Yeah, about 2 months.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gone are the days when Google announced something and says, and it's available right now. Or is that just a memory?
Supply chain. Supply chain.
Yeah.
So I got to complain for a little bit.
All right.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Let's wind Mike up.
It's ridiculous to me that they wouldn't just open the pre-orders now, even if the delivery's going to be in the future.
Yeah,
totally agree.
It just seems really weird. They kept like talking about this cool stuff that they have, and then saying pre-orders 2 months from now. It's like no excitement, and it just deflated like everything.
Yeah, it loses the lightning, right? It loses the energy there a little bit when you're like, oh, I mean, because what holds a company back from just opening pre-orders now? Like, why not? Because
exactly. I don't get
understand.
Supply chain.
I was gonna say supply chain, and I would guess also the carriers. Like I gotta imagine whenever, especially with Verizon and things like that, like it's the combination of supply chain getting it into all those stores and shipping and all that sort of stuff. I think the two things that are going on, the confluence of it's going to take 2 months before it becomes available. That's my guess.
So when you say supply chain, it's if you've got 2 months of pre-orders, that's 2 months of this building mound of phones that need to deliver on day one, and they might not be able to do that. Is that the worry there? I just kind of assumed like they'd
no.
still
I
be
think
able to
that it's actually it's going to take time to actually get the inventory into the carrier stores.
Okay, that I understand.
And they don't necessarily, and they don't want to start selling it from the Google store earlier than that because then they'll undercut their partners.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, very well could be the case.
Yeah, see,
we're guessing, of course.
Ronzo's got the angle, but the other reason why they announced it is because they are trying to build up a little bit of hype for what they are doing with the hardware lineup, and so we're gonna notice the theme as we all start kind of like talking about what was revealed.
Yeah.
So the big thing about the 6A is that it has the same tensor chip as the regular 6.
Good.
Ding, ding, ding. Sounds just like what Apple just did with the iPhone 13 and the Apple iPhone SE. Very much similar thing. Also, Samsung's doing that with its A series lineup. So there's going to be a lot of competition between these three, in my mind, for people's hands. So to speak, because they're going at the $400 price point, and then they're going at the $800 plus with their flagships.
Yeah.
So they figured, why not just announce it going forward? A couple just little specs on the 6A that we know so far. 4,400, I think it's 450 milliamp battery, or is it 405?
405.
I don't know.
It's Yeah, I could have that wrong.
I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry right now. But there is 6 gigs of memory, which is something to keep in store. I think it's only a 90 hertz refresh rate. It's not the full 120 that you would get on like the Galaxy A53. That's like the big thing about that that particular phone. Only 128 gigs of storage. So already it's a very like limited lineup that you're getting here. No more headphone jack. So I knew quite a few people who reached out to me and were like, I need to go buy my 5A. It's the last of the headphone jacks that I can get. So yeah. That's going to be a bummer, but clearly like Google's using the A series to go after those other two that, but it feels weird to me that they're doing a July launch for it because you're completely missing the window that Samsung and Apple have right now. And I understand that Apple is a different operating system, but it doesn't matter to sales numbers. Somebody will switch between Android and iOS if what they're really concerned about is money and value. So something to keep in mind there.
I mean, again, the missed window or the delayed window, probably goes back to the whole supply chains. That's what we blame for all this stuff lately, And
we know how tight Apple and Samsung are in their own supply chains, right? So it's going to be an interesting story going forward.
Yeah.
Beyond phones, we also have the Pixel Buds Pro to look forward to. These are also very exciting. Also, you have to wait until July 21st for the pre-order, July 28th for the release. $200 for this set of active noise cancellation enabled headphones. It's the first of Google's buds to have ANC, which is pretty exciting. There's going to be a custom audio processor on the earbuds, a 6-core audio chip that will help, do all of that magic that goes on. And that magic includes the AI sound shaping and spatial audio support, which is another big thing that is happening in the earbud world. 4 colors, assuming they're going to match all the new Pixels that are coming out.
Probably.
Sorry to tease Huyne, but it's happening.
Yep. All right.
It's happening.
So Pixel Buds finally gets its Pro line or its Pro level with that noise cancellation, which is kind of table stakes for premium in-ear buds, wireless earbuds at this point. Cool. Yeah, I'd be curious to check them out. I'm less excited about these than a lot of the other announcements that they made, but it makes sense that they'd have that. But again, why not have those pre-orders open now? Let people start getting really excited and dropping down their intentions now. I don't understand why you don't.
Carriers, man. That's my guess.
Yeah. I mean, you're probably right. It's just a bummer.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. When you have the devices coming later section, which is very exciting.
I am your ghost of devices coming later. Not too much later, but a little bit later.
A little bit later.
A little bit later. And to start off, maybe unsurprisingly, or just confirming all of the leaks and renders and photos that we've had for the past several months, the Pixel Watch is real. And it is coming later this year. Yes, that was very exciting to see. And it looks just like, the ones left in restaurants and the renders we've seen. We've got a nice round phone there, a little bit of heft to it. There's still not a lot that we know about it in particular. We do know, and it was noted in the keynote, there will be some deep integrations with Fitbit. So leaning into the health and wellness, sector of smartwatches and wearables. Still not, what does that mean? It probably will have heart rate monitoring, sleep tracking, fitness activity tracking, but I'm kind of curious, and I know, Flo, you noted in your article too, where the balance will be between Google Fit and Fitbit.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting to me, how the two will interplay. I mean, of course, Google owns Fitbit now, but there's still two, just like many other Google things, they have different products doing the same thing. So how do we bring all these things together into a consistent experience? Will be interesting to see. Of course, we'll probably be running the new hybrid Wear OS 3 developed with Samsung, and we'll have multiple colorways. And I actually didn't pick up on this at all, but it has custom silicon. So yet another Pixel device that Google is rolling with their own custom silicon. So kind of filling out the ecosystem, not just with, different devices and different form factors, but with their own silicon. Though, again, we have no idea what that looks like just yet. So we'll have to wait a little bit longer to see. And we might get a few more details when we actually get to know what the Pixel 7 and 7 Pro are, because those were also teased. It is going to be I think we'll learn more in July, but the Pixel 7 and Pixel 7 Pro look not too different than the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro, keeping that lovely camera bar, but this time it's getting thinned out and metallicized rather than having a glass plastic kind of thicker camera bar. It's getting kind of turned into a nice metal that kind of integrates nicely with the metal sides. The colorways are pretty interesting because I think in the last few years we've had some pretty fun colors, at least a lot of varied colors. They're kind of looking a little more subdued than last year, but what I really like about the colors is that it's not just the back that's going to have some color to it, but also the metal frame that includes the camera bar and also the sides of the phone will also have some variation in color. So you kind of get combos rather than individual colors, which is going to be really nice. And again, we don't know too much more about it yet. This is just a vague teasing, but we will know that, again, custom silicon, and this will have the next generation Tensor chip. So Pixel 7, 7 Pro, and your Pixel Watch is to come more later in coming a little sooner rather than later in the year.
I mean,
but yeah,
probably the
I feel
fall
like
event.
This is going back, and Mike, you can probably you probably attest to this in terms of like the I don't want to say downer or bummer that I/O was, but like Google just keeps taking the wind out of our sails of speculation, right? Like it was neat to see. It was neat to see the Pixel 7, but I feel like so much stolen, like the anticipation and the speculation. It's just like, it's so anticlimactic now. It's just, I don't know. It's a weird strategy. I get it, but I also miss the, ooh, there's a leak and they left it in a bar and like all this sort of stuff. Like they're getting so ahead of that nonsense now.
Yeah.
I don't want this glimpse. I don't want to see what the Pixel 7 looks like till it's announced. Where's the magic?
Now we're going to see these photos of the Pixel 7 for the next 4 months. Whereas, if this hadn't happened, who knows what we would see? The blurry leaked from the random dark room shot, would be the kind of hero image on the top of articles. And now instead we get Google's very specific, very, particular and chosen and clear and everything shots to promote the phone. But I don't know. Are we without too much surprise and joy, Mike? What do you think? Would you prefer to have more surprise?
I would prefer to have more surprise. The one thing I will say that surprised me or that I really liked about the new phones, in particular the 6A, was the design aesthetic they're going for and the industrial design of the devices. They're really distinctive, and I think they're really nice looking. So,
yeah,
especially the 6A. Actually, it has a little bit of a different aesthetic even than the 7. But they all look very nice and very distinctive. Like you can see them. I notice people using, I'm an Android. Everybody in this room is an Android aficionado and notices these things. But I definitely notice when people are using the Pixel 6 now, and it's really distinctive.
Yeah. There aren't other phones that look like it out in the wild. You definitely know when you see a Pixel 6 out there. And with the 7,
that 6A right there is beautiful.
Yeah. Although with the 6A, the camera system's way different, right? So it's a lot shallower. You can definitely tell that thing does not protrude nearly as much as it does on the 6 and 6 Pro. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but that's just a testament to the fact that with the A series, you are getting a step down. I think what's interesting to me is this kind of new world of the processor. Talking about Pixel phones, the processor is no longer the step down thing. It's other things, it's the camera or whatever. But the processor, hey, you're getting the same banging processor on both, the premium and the mid-range device. And so that's kind of out of the running. But the cameras, I think you probably end up seeing a big step downwards on the A series than what we're used to on the
I will say I was delighted that they did announce a 6A because my sister needs a new phone and this will be it. So,
there you go.
And she doesn't watch this, so she doesn't know it. But I already talked to my brother-in-law about getting it for her. So
nice. She just has to wait 2 months.
She's got to wait 2 months and pay $50 more because she's on Verizon, which is stupid.
Oh yeah, that is stupid.
Carriers.
Yeah.
MM wave or whatever that nonsense
Momo
is.
wave.
Yeah.
Momo wave.
Yeah.
It is pretty great when you get it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. But how often do you get it?
Is it though, Flo? Is it?
Oh, please.
I just want to.
Is it worth $50?
By the way, I just want to quickly make a little clarification on the Pixel Watch chip, because I realized it was my article used. The clarification is that we do not know if Google is making the chip. That's the only clarification I wanted to offer. Yes.
So custom silicon.
I realized something was teased, but I just wanted to clarify.
And in fact, I was just looking this up, and even today, and I missed this before the show, but even the last 24 hours, there are some people writing about the possibility that this is an Exynos chip from 2018 or something like that. So custom, but Maybe
but
not
it
new
would
custom.
fall.
But that would
But
suck.
it falls in line with the understanding that this would be something built with Samsung.
Yeah.
So, because that was the other thing that was really confusing, and again, I just want to clarify on this because we didn't get like full news on this. Some of these things came out, during the keynote as well, and one of the things is it was a little confusing as to why Samsung was a part of this announcement because you would think Pixel Watch, that means this is just Google doing its own thing. So
Yeah.
it's another wait and see. We're not supposed to really expect this until October. So
one thing about
until then.
Sorry. One thing about Samsung and Google, and I was just looking for it, and I couldn't find it necessarily. I thought that they announced a new health platform in accordance with the watch, where
They did.
and that could be important, actually.
Yeah, it's a new health API which I like briefly looked over last week. Sorry, Mike. I meant to be like,
No,
yes,
you know more
they
than I
did,
do,
and then
so-
I thought you were going to say more, so that's why I
No,
stopped.
I was
but,
searching. I was searching for it. I can't find it, but you know more than me.
Yeah, I put it in a slideshow on Gizmodo, so if you really need to go look it up, you can go look it up in the Google I/O recap things you might have missed at gizmodo.com. But it's a health connection API, and it's supposed to help cut down. Remember, a long time ago, we did a show where we talked about what was the app, Jason? Remember the app that you needed, the Health Sync? Yep, Health Sync.
Oh, to sync between Google Fit and Samsung.
And Samsung Health.
Yeah. I can't remember
So this
the name
is basically
of the app,
gonna bridge that. It's gonna give access to make it just so Google Fit will work with, my understanding, is any of the compatible Android watches. So good things are coming to everybody.
Good things to those who wait. One question before we move on, and Ron, you've got some exciting stuff to talk about here in a second. So going back to the Pixel Watch one last time, and this integration with Fitbit and like some of the best features of Fitbit coming to Wear OS. What does that mean? Because I've never had a Fitbit, so I don't actually know what Fitbit does that Wear OS doesn't already do. Like, they both track fitness. But how is Fitbit doing it differently? Is it because it's a better battery experience? Is Fitbit actually tracking something in health that Wear OS just simply can't track? Like, what does that sharing of things mean that effectively makes the Wear OS experience better because it's getting it from Fitbit? I still don't know the answer to that. And maybe you guys don't either. This could be a question for an email. If somebody out there knows.
This is a question. Honestly, Jason, this is a question for a fitness wearables expert. And I mean this sincerely, because I realized, like, coming into the Android beat, I thought I knew everything I did about wearables, but there is a whole little subsection that if you are not a person using it daily, it's hard to completely understand.
Yeah.
Like, how that information is shared and, what kind of the nuances are.
Yeah.
So if you
maybe someone out there has some good guesses. No, yeah, and I mean, it's just a question that I still have yet to understand. I haven't seen anyone really tackle it, or I hear what everybody says, which is, yay, Fitbit, coming to Wear OS. And somebody in the chat room just said Fitbit is like having a kicker box. They were just the best early. And maybe that's it. Maybe Fitbit was just really good early on, and they all kind of do. But then if that's the case, then what is the value? I don't know. But I'm hopeful, but I still don't really understand like how that.
Well, you don't want to abandon all the people who have been in this ecosystem for like 10 years.
No,
and
for
have
certain.
all that running data. People who have just like had their whole health lives around that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say that's important though, as someone who is on a non-smart wearable, that integration is important. And like, I've mentioned before that I'm on a totally different non-brand.
Right.
And what is important to me is being able to pull that data into other things. Like, I'm actually on Strava, even though I don't really run or cycle, but for like the social aspect, and then even pulling it into Google Fit and having like Withings and like, cause we have like the Withings scale, and I used to have like the Withings watch and things like that. and having my data like go to all these places so that, whether it's a social aspect or whether it's integrating it with things with my blood pressure, which I should be really taking more often, and, kind of the other things, that's really important. So maybe it is that. And I think that if you're on Fitbit, maybe that makes it easier to kind of start kind of exploring the device space outside of Fitbit, is being able to kind of feel like, oh, well, I can still have my Fitbit and have my Pixel Watch cake and eat it too. Wait a minute. That didn't work out, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's a good point, though, as someone who is a bit of a fitness nut and who likes my data. And I mean, that's the one thing that I will ding about this little tracker that I use, is the integrations are really minimal. Like it goes to Strava, which is basically it, as opposed to going to Google Fit, which is more essential and can be kind of imported to other places. So that is a problem. And it might, maybe that's it. If you're a Fitbit user, please tell us. I'm actually really curious.
Yeah, I'm super curious about that too. AAA@twit.tv. And I'm sure we're going to hear from somebody about this. I'm very curious to know what y'all think Fitbit could actually bring to Wear OS to make it better. So answer that. All right, Ron, you got the future looking crystal ball thing.
So not only is it future looking, but I kind of want to take a victory lap, and also extend 2022 as the year of the tablet, and we're gonna keep rolling with it and make 2023 the year of the tablet.
Great.
Because
this is a decade of the tablet.
At Google I/O, they did tease the Pixel tablet is coming in 2023, and it's going to be a premium device. For a premium device, what they showed looked awfully, let's say, simple.
Yeah.
It looked kind of like the screen removed from a Nest Hub. It looked very, kind of clean, white bezel. It looks like if you just attached it from that base on a Nest Hub. But it lines up with previous investigative work by a friend of the show, Michelle Rahman, to that effect. So, hey, Pixel tablet, an official, we've been hearing about how they're Android for wider devices and all this sort of stuff, and we've said on the show, right, Jason and Huyne, recently we've said that
yes,
if we're really going to see tablet adoption, Google's got to get behind it with a device, and here they are with a device. So I was happy as a tablet user.
Well, it didn't work with Chrome OS. So.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
they're back to Android.
Did it flow though? Did it? But. But it didn't stop there in the future. In fact, Google Glass it's back. If anybody had that on their bingo card, you could see it.
Yeah.
So they had frames that look like actual glasses frames, although they're still a little on the thick side, but that could be your style, so that's okay.
Yeah.
Real-time translation in front of the eyes, which, as we know, something I find amazing. The product was never mentioned to have a market date of any kind. Demos were simulated. And other announcements seem perfectly primed for a good for a device, like scene exploration in Google Lens, that can ID multiple products in the camera's view to display info about them. But ultimately, this glass looks to be very augmented reality-esque in that regard. So Google's trying to get back into the AR world with a new Google Glass someday. But it all seemed very hypothetical at this point.
Yeah.
So
They didn't leave
did they
the
not
AR
even
world,
call
though.
it? Oh, sorry. Did they not even say the GLASS word? Because I think I was watching it and I was live tweeting. I was like, oh my God, is Glass coming back? Because we had just talked about the 10th anniversary of Glass. So it seemed apropos.
I think
I was waiting.
I don't think they did.
I don't think they did.
No. And they were like, oh, it's a prototype. And I kind of all went, oh my gosh, Google Glass is back. And then the segment ended. I'm like,
Is
what?
it?
Is it?
But it's been back. It's been back in
That's
the
fair.
enterprise.
Right.
Which
That is-
is
It
That's
never went
fair.
away in the
Reason
enterprise, right?
Because Google Glass as a product still exists. It is a certain thing that Google actively still sells for the enterprise. And this is different. This ties into, the energy of Apple, creating their own glasses and, the other companies that are doing the same.
This is Pixel Buds in a glasses frame.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is
But more
Meta.
than-
This is Meta's Ray-Bans. This is what this is. And it's going to be better because Google has already done the
Google.
work with all the translation. Just that translation alone.
Yes.
Oh
That's a
my
pretty cool
God.
feature.
That's holy crap. That's what I want out of life. Out of something.
So
like
we
this.
were talking a second ago about you could like look at stuff and maybe see information about it. I don't see a camera on those, and that's a super important nuance because the camera in the original glass that was the big problem that everybody had such big issues with. I don't see a camera on that.
No.
So maybe not the Ray-Bans. Just
that does limit functionality quite a bit if you're only.
Well, that's a really good point, because when we think of AR systems right now, we do need, like, when I think of like what we know about what Meta is creating around their AR solution, those headsets, they have out forward-facing cameras. Not necessarily because I want to record a video of this person that I'm talking to, but because that's how the system collects information about your environment in order to overlay, in order to contextualize. The thing you were talking about, Ron, was a feature that search tool, they showed it off on a phone where I think it was like a selection of like chocolates or something, and they held up their phone and it had all this, augmented information pointing to all the things in real time, and maybe their ratings and their prices and that sort of stuff. And so they didn't necessarily show off that feature as something that would be in the glasses, but you can kind of see how a feature like that could eventually end up in a glasses if it was created the right way. But these glasses would not be able to do that because they don't have a camera. So how are they going to make contextualized, guesses on anything out in the real world?
Audio.
Yeah, they're very, very limited. But sure, someday. I don't know when that is, but someday maybe they'll get there.
You got it, Jason.
Yeah.
Totally on the ball.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see. But still interesting nonetheless that Google is still, working in that space. And I guess not that surprising. It seems like everybody is right now, whether they want to talk about it or not. Google's talking about it. So